Okay, could I have everyone's attention, please? Very good. Well, we are live. We are being streamed right now on the web and on Twitter, so we'd like to welcome anybody who's watching us. I'm supposed to let you know that if you're online, you need to turn up or on your volume, and that is supposedly the solution as big as the problem. No, I know. I said the other side. Come on, Mike. Oh, I see. If your volume is not up, you didn't hear me. All right, very good. All right, I got it. All right, very good. All right, thanks everybody for coming. Thanks for joining us online. We just finished up dinner. If anyone needs... Well, there's a little pizza left, and you'll be on camera. You'd be famous if you'd like to get some more pizza. Cookies are coming, and contributions are being accepted over there. Before we move on, we're going to have some folks that would like to say a few words, which is why we're online. So I'd like to turn things over to our former State Director, Deputy State Director Mike Cadden.
Who'd have thunk it? There isn't anybody in here that hasn't helped make this thing happen, and everybody out in Arizona. No matter how much or how little you did, you helped push us over the top, and that's just fantastic. When that day that was happening, we had 2 weeks of quiet, just dead quiet. We didn't know what was going on, and I said, Joanne, I'm just going to turn the laptop on and see if they're going to do anything on the Senate floor. I turned it on, and they were voting on our bill. And I thought of Bob Hill when I saw Farnsworth's name turn green. I thought, whoa. And then Yee's name, Joe, turned green. And I thought, Joanne, this is going to happen. We're going to make it. And sure enough, we did. And everybody here helped this happen. We know why we're here. We're here because our country's in trouble. But there was a guy that stood up and said, let's get this project going. And he's here tonight to talk to you, give you a few words. Mike Ferris.
Thank you. I obviously didn't come in my lawyer suit today. Yeah, well, I've gone full on Arizona. But I moved to Arizona. Biggs went to Washington. It passed. Not saying cause and effect. Well, I actually am saying cause and effect on one part of that anyway. I called Mike and congratulated him on your passage as soon as I heard about it, which was not long, within an hour or so of the vote. And it was exciting for me, having been here for a lot of the early testimony and going to tea parties and various things and Liberty Fest and all kinds of things. I really dug in Arizona. The members of the national team tended to adopt states, and I had personally adopted the wonderful state of Arizona, never realizing that for completely different reasons I would end up living here in a substantial way. And so I just have to tell you that I'm extremely proud of you all. Gary, you've done a great job. Mike, you've done a great job. Bob, Ed, friend Linda, who's not here tonight. Lots of you. Everybody here, like Mike said, everybody here has done something worthy of praise. And it's the citizens of this country who are going to save this country. There's some good things going on in Washington, D.C. once in a while. I mean, it's unlike what it's been for a long time where everything is bad. Now we get some good mixed in with some of the bad. And so, I was glad to see Judge Gorsuch become Justice Gorsuch yesterday. That was a good deal. There have been a few other things, but we all know that no matter if President Trump did everything that he promised on the campaign, and got Congress to go along with everything he done. Yeah, the first week, yeah. But even if that did happen, it's not going to solve the problems that we set out to solve. We set out to solve the structural problems that are causing our country to be buried in government, buried in debt, buried in spending, buried in regulation. All those things are the opposite of freedom. Freedom is where I get to decide where my dollars go, not the government. Freedom decides I decide where my kids go to school, not the government. Freedom is I decide where I go to the doctor, not the government. And we were about delivering the structure of freedom. That's what this is all about. You all caught it, you understood it, you drugged me around to places I had no idea where I was. I was at the Red Mountain Tea Party. Now I live about 2 miles from Red Mountain. And so I'm still trying to figure out where the Tea Party thing is. It seemed like it was way out, in the middle of nowhere when I went there that night. But it's actually a little more in town than where I live. And so I'm basically 202 in Power Road in Los Angeles is where I live. Renting a house, just so you start calculating the math of what it costs to live there. I'm renting. Renting is cheaper than buying in Los Angeles. But if I could just say, 90 seconds about what I'm doing now is I became the president and CEO of Alliance Defending Freedom, which is based in Scottsdale. It's the largest Christian religious freedom litigating organization in the world. We have offices, the biggest offices here, 150 employees here in Scottsdale, about 40 in DC, about 10 in Atlanta, 3 in New York City. We're at the UN. The goal of the UN is to take bad stuff out of the stuff that's going through. There's no hope whatsoever of putting good stuff in the UN. So the best we can do is take some bad stuff out. And so we've got people dedicated there to doing that. Amen. And we've got offices in Vienna, Austria, in Strasbourg, France, in London, India, Mexico City, Brussels, Geneva. I think that's it. And so I am now in charge of this entire international domestic operation. And the basic goal is religious freedom, the protection of innocent human life, and the protection of the family and marriage. And so those are the things that I'm involved with now. The reason I felt confident to do that, as it pertains to the things that I was doing, all of which I started. I was basically the guy that started the Convention of States, along with Mark Meckler. I started Patrick Henry College. I started Homeschool Legal Defense, and I was engaged in all 3 of those things. But I was confident that they would proceed without me. If I thought that they wouldn't proceed without me, I wouldn't have left. But with Convention of States, I was confident in 2 things. One is that the number of grassroots volunteers had just flat out reached critical mass. And that was where the real strength lied. People have raised funds, people have built organizations, people have built websites. All those things are a necessary component of it. But it's the people that are the key. And so I trusted that the 1.5 million, or whatever the number is today, people that were doing it were sufficient to light the fire that wouldn't be put out. It's got to grow from there. It's got to keep going. We got a bunch more states we got to get, but it's the people that make the difference. And so I felt free to go back to my original passion of defense of religious liberty, knowing I do what I could to help COS from time to time. But anyway, it's great to see you all. I'm so proud of you. I started talking about this party in the days of Andy Biggs. I remember talking to Mike and Linda specifically, saying, "When we get this passed, we're having a party." And so I've been looking for this party for years. Even if I didn't live here, I would have come. But it was nice and convenient that I could just jump in my car. Yeah. So I mean, I have an Arizona car. I bought a 10-year-old hardtop BMW convertible. So it's 75,000 miles on it. It's a great used car. And that's why I'm the color I am. All right. God bless you. Thank you. It's a privilege to be here. I'm really glad you won. Really, really, really glad you won.
Thank you very much, Mike. Mike mentioned that he was at the Red Mountain Tea Party. That's actually how I got involved. It was the day that Mike was there. My father and I went to the Red Mountain Tea Party, and I think I signed the petition the next day, and off we went. So thank you very much. At this point, what I'd like to do is see, we've got a lot of volunteers in the room. We have a few guests. I do have to say that our primary sponsor of our resolution in the House, Kelly Townsend, Representative Townsend, was supposed to be with us tonight. She sent me a message about half an hour ago or so to give everybody her condolences, but is that the right word? She injured herself lifting something heavy and just didn't feel like she could get here. So she was really sorry because she really wanted to be here with us, and we wanted to give her a couple beers and see if we could get some info out of her on exactly how this all went down. It's kind of funny, Mike mentioned the day of the vote, and it was so quiet for a couple weeks, and all we could really do as a grassroots, because there was all this going on behind the scenes with Gretchen Jacobs, our lobbyist, and probably with Kelly and some other folks trying to do what they could. And Mike called me, and I was at my desk at work, and he said, you can't get the feed online at work, can you? And I said, no, it doesn't go through our firewall. And he goes, they're voting on a resolution right now. And I'm like, now? Like, we haven't heard anything. There was nothing, radio silence. Yeah. Now. So I couldn't watch it, but he just kind of walked me through it. And he's like, I think we're going to win. And I said, why do you say that? He goes, Farnsworth turned green. And I'm like, what? How's this happening? Farnsworth turned green. And then he said, and Yarborough hasn't voted. See, he said, I think we're going to win. Okay. I'm not exactly sure how that happened, but to echo Mike's point, I mean, it's everybody in the room did something. Some people did more, some people did less, but everybody did something, and it all helped. So what I'd like to do now is just see if there's anybody in the room, whether you're a volunteer or a guest, that would like to stand on the hotspot here and say anything about their experience or what it is that they're thinking or how we move forward. And then when we finish up, then I'd like to introduce our new state directors and kind of put a bow on this whole thing. But is there anybody that would like to kick us off? Scott? You're volunteer.
Well, I'd just like to second everybody else. This is a team effort, totally a team effort, from everybody from the grassroots out in Arizona all the way to the state director. So it took us a long time. I've been here 4.5 years working the project with Mike and some of the others, and it has been a lot of work, and sometimes it was thankless work because we were all trying so hard and we couldn't understand why we weren't. Times it felt like we were beating our head against a brick wall, So anyway, as a team, we can celebrate with everybody in Arizona and everybody watching, obviously. But the other thing is, after today and the celebration is over, we've still got a lot of work to do. And that work, we need to help our legislators get the delegates that we want to go to the convention and get the amendments that we want to hand to them and say, here's what we want you guys to think about or talk about at the convention. And then we need to support them on that. So that we've got a lot of work still left, and we can't let anybody come back to the legislature and try to take it away from us. So we got to keep our eyes open and be alert. But we've all shown that we can do it. We have done it. Our grassroots has done it. So, and I appreciate working with everybody that I've had an opportunity to work with. I can't thank you enough. I've learned a lot. Mike, Tom, last year, well, Tom and I and Mike 2 years ago, we started putting strategy together. And then last year, when we started, we finally got our strategy to where it was paced out over a long period of time so we could step it forward to get where we are today. And it worked. It really helped us out a lot. And I know National picked up on a lot of things that we were doing. And so we actually didn't just help ourselves, we helped the nation. So I just want to, my last statement is just I want to thank everybody. Bottom of my heart, man. It's our country, and we've got to take it back. Oh, and cookies are ready.
I'll show you now. Bob's going to talk to these people.
Bob, come on, Bob.
We want to hear from Bob. Come on in.
I just want to make a special recognition for Mike. I think Mike he's done it. Okay, and there's an award that COS has that they've been giving out, Medal of Freedom. I don't remember what the name of it is, but they've only given out a few. And I'm gonna say that I think Mike should get that. So we need help from Mike Ferris and the people in COS. Use Slack, okay? Put Mike Kapik's name up there and say, he needs this award. Okay. Well, that's it for me. But thank you for everybody in the state.
For those of you that don't know who I am, my name is Dennis, and I've been, for the last several years, what's my title? Presentation coordinator, which basically just means I'm the guy that they send out to talk about stuff. I got involved with this about 4.5 years ago, signed the petition online, and about 2 nights later I get a call from Mike. We talked a little bit. I remember just enough about Article 5 to be dangerous. And so Mike's like, yeah, it sounds a little shaky, but let's talk some more. And under Mike's guidance and tutelage, I have been so blessed to talk to so many patriots out there over the last several years. I have been incredibly humbled to be a part of this entire process, and I'm not finished being involved yet. I want to get involved with whatever this next phase will be. Our next speaker later on, our upcoming director, we were talking earlier, and I says, could you use somebody like me? He says, I am going to use and abuse you. So there could be a lot of fun with that. So in closing, I just want to say that most of us remember that July 29th of 1775 in Lexington in Massachusetts was the shot heard around the world that got the revolution started for this country. And with the passage of the resolution here in Arizona, that's just the latest shot that's going to be heard that's going to bring this country back to where it's supposed to be.
Does anybody else like to speak? John? Absolutely.
Hi everybody, my name is J.D. Schneeless. I'm with the Article 5 Hour Radio program, and none of you know me almost, but I know Kelly Townsend has been on the show, and Gary's been on the show, and Mark Mecker's been on the show, and the Article 5 Hour, obviously, has been, inspired by this movement. And I signed a petition somewhere around 2 years ago, I think. And I haven't actually done any work with all you fine folks, but what I have been doing is trying to present the progress of the Article 5 movement from time to time, at least, on the radio program, and sometimes it's been the subject matter of the whole radio program. So in that way, that's what I can do, and that's what I do, and I thank you, and you, Gary, for the invite for me and my producer, who has not made it yet. He had a family emergency, unfortunately, but thank you guys for inviting us, and we'll be mentioning this on the show tomorrow night at 8 p.m. KFNX. 1100 KFNX, that's right.
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you, John. Ken, did you want to?
Well, I think I'm the newbie here. Has anybody been here less than 6 months? Okay. 2? So I just want to say, you guys are amazing. Just rock stars. It's unbelievable. Every one of you, I can't believe how you've committed over the years. You're crazy. You're absolutely crazy. So I want to hear a huge round of applause for a person who's been here doing this for years who couldn't make it today. Pat.
I'll second that. We miss you, Pat. Yeah, absolutely. Anybody else? Anything they'd like to say? Okay, well, I've had the pleasure of working with all of you and with Mike since I came on board several years ago. I started as a district captain in LV16. I was not a very good district captain. Bob is a much better district captain than I ever could be. But the thing that I was comfortable with and better at than being a district captain was working on training, because that's what I do for a living. And so I met with Mike and I told him that, maybe instead of being a district captain and not a terribly effective one, perhaps I should look into seeing what I could do from a state basis in training. And that's kind of where I got, where I really got excited and started working with the group, and then took over from Mike. Mike wanted to get less involved. I'm not quite sure exactly how less involved you actually got, but maybe a little. A few less conference calls for you and a few more for me. But other than that, been your state director now for basically a year, and I feel a little bit guilty that I came on board and then we won. It feels like But I'm proud of what we've accomplished. I'm proud to have worked with all of you. I don't really want to talk about thanking people by name because I'm sure to forget somebody, but you all know who you are. As Mike said, some people did more, some people did less, but everybody in the movement did something. It all adds up. It's cumulative, right? One person I would like to thank is my wife, Barb. We have a very busy life. One of the reasons that I'm stepping back is I had a change in employment right in the middle of all this, which was pretty hectic. It involves a lot more travel. We also started a little small business this year, and things have just gotten pretty crazy very fast. And so we have a lot to do. She has a lot to do. She was never disinterested or not interested in this, but this was kind of my thing, not hers. But it certainly took enough time away from us that I wanted to recognize it. So, thank you. So, with that, I'd like to turn things over to our new state director, Jeremy Wilson. As Skylar mentioned, we've still got a lot of work to do. It's just different work. We've still got a grassroots army to build, to educate, to play defense, as Skylar mentioned, to be sure that we don't have anybody who tries to come in and do any sort of rescission, number one. And then number two, so that's reactive. Proactive, we still have to go and take a look at who needs to go to the convention, what sort of things we need to try to promote at the convention. So there's a lot of work to do. So with that, Jeremy, would you like to address the group?
So my name is Jeremy Wilson. I've been involved with Convention of States since 2015. I worked with Ed Goheen a lot. I was a state information analyst, so I handled a bunch of the technical stuff, and whatnot. Worked a lot with Nation Builder. In the 2016 legislative season, I kind of took a break from that and stepped back. And then I actually re-engaged right before the resolution passed. And so I was talking with Jason Gerard at National and whatnot, and I was sharing my perspective because I knew that Gary was going to be stepping down, and Mike, and I said, hey, maybe I can do something with that. My career is leading other people, and professionally I'm a chief technology officer for a software organization, and historically I lead 100 people and stuff like that. I also have experience with volunteer groups in the several hundred. And one thing that I'm really good at is grassroots. One thing I'm not so good at is legislative, so I'm going to be reaching out and really heavily relying on Skylar to kind of walk me through what's been done and what needs to be done from his perspective. So I hope that you and I will work well together. And I wanted to personally thank Mike and Gary for helping me with the transition. They've been helping me, get ownership of all the tools, and just generally there for advice and things like that. And I hope that the two of you will be available as I have questions and stuff like that. But big thanks to them for helping out with the transition. Over the course of last week, I just spent pretty much every hour in the evenings last week talking to people. My calendar was just filled with people that wanted to talk to me, and I loved every moment. I got a chance to introduce myself to a lot of people and stuff, and really kind of my focus in talking to people was really getting an understanding of their experience so far and what they thought about the next steps. Right? So I'm a person that likes to take feedback and apply that to what I do. So when I come up with a vision of and the strategy in which I'm moving forward with, next week I'm going to be presenting pretty much everybody who's active from a leadership perspective on vision for the state and reorganizing like the districts and stuff like that, so we can really create a lot of action. Get together with everybody, get their thoughts, and then iterate on that until we have something where we have a clear and present strategy for moving forward together as a group. And then we can re-engage the volunteer force and our supporters to be able to fill what gaps we have and move forward collectively. I would like to see the state create an amazing grassroots army. We're going to need that army in order to be able to support our legislators as they start to propose amendments and things like that. We need to have their backs. At the same time, we need to have a heavy campaign in educating the public, educating businesses and things like that. I'd even like to be able to, it's wishful thinking, but I'd like to even be able to engage liberals in the Democratic side and find issues that matter to them as it applies to the Convention of States and get them on board with that as well, right? So this isn't just about a certain party or anything like that. If we're going to really get the support that we need to go to with a convention, it's going to take a lot of convention. And we could be talking 5 years down the road. We could be talking 10 years down the road. We don't know. Maybe the first 20 is pretty easy to get. It'll be difficult, but I mean, in contrast to maybe 20 to 34, right? So we don't know what that experience is going to like. We have to have the grassroots force in order to be able to support our legislators, and through the legislative contacts that we have and the people working with us in the legislative bodies, developing material and kind of campaign stuff that helps the legislators educate their constituents in their own areas and things like that. Because whatever amendments we write, it's going to have public support, right? When as we get more and more states, the opposition is going to get crazy. It's going to be a madhouse. It's going to be absolutely ridiculous. So the more we have prepared, the more that we can go on the attack when they try to go on the attack, the better we'll be to position an adequate message for whatever opposition comes out and whatnot. So next week I'm going to be engaging a lot of people. We're going to be doing a bunch of go-to meetings, and the entire goal is to come up with a strategy for the state in which we can execute on. I want to thank all of you for what you do, and I really hope that you guys will be a part of the next steps forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
How does this end?
Goodbye.
Cookie time. All right, well, it's cookie hour. Oh, okay. I think that's it as far as the live stream goes. It's cookie time here live. So, Ken, do you want to shut this contraption down? No. You don't? You're going to let them watch us eat cookies online? Oh, boy. Well, there's weirder stuff online.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.